Everybody does have greatness in them. And I don't know if it's destined. I don't know if we're destined for greatness. I still haven't figured out all that first leg of the quest. Why are we here? What's it all about? We may be destined for greatness. I don't know. But I do know that we all have it in us. So if Gandhi or Bill Gates or, you know, Einstein, just insert your favorite brilliant person, if they're destined, then so are you. If they were just human beings who had great skills, great back pocket skills and great vision, then you have that too. We are all made up of the same material. Gilbo Taylor recently, who wrote A Stroke of Genius about how her whole life changed, she was a doctor from having her stroke, said we are 99.9% made up of the same DNA. And yet we have the nerve to think that someone else is so much better than us, that they can be successful and they can be rich and they can be wealthy and they can have everything they want. Now, there's often reasons why we feel that way. And again, this is a really difficult, delicate subject. Maybe because of how we've been brought up, our childhood, we were raised very humbly, or we were, whatever our socio-economic background was, that we just somehow feel that there's the haves and the have-nots. There's those who are deserving and worthy of great things, and others, maybe us, who are not. And that is what's so powerful. And I'll tell you something now, unless we can change that, all these other skills are maybe going to change things a little, but we've got to get into our roadmap, got to get into our blueprint and see, what do we really think? And Stephen Covey, you may have heard of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's brilliant. He just died last year. It was really popular in the 70s and the 80s. But those 7 habits of highly effective people are still magnificent. If you ever get some of the old tapes or read the book, really, really good. And of all the materials I've studied, he says this the best. And he says, he compares it to a roadmap. And he says, his example is, you're coming to Chicago for a meeting. You live outside Chicago. You get to O'Hare, and this is the days before GPS, in the 70s and 80s. And you unfold your map. And the printer has made a mistake. You have a map of Chicago. You should be able to find where you're going in Chicago, but the printer actually put Chicago at the top of a map of Denver. So you're looking and looking and looking and trying to find where you're going, and finding that you can't get there because you've got the wrong map. And if you have the wrong map, no amount of motivation, changing your behavior, changing your attitude, working harder, being more diligent is going to lead you to success. So you've got to get the map changed. And the good news is that the map can be changed. It's only a map. It's not the territory. The potential and the territory and all that you can be is underneath that. So the map can be changed. Again, this is not easy. And I, for one, know how difficult it is to feel worthy and to feel adequate when you come from a very, very humble background. I grew up one of 12 children on a small farm, very poor. In Ireland and in Northern Ireland during the Troubles of the 70s and the 80s, I was a Catholic, you know, we were the underclass. I was part of a big family, that was underclass. We were way out in the country. We didn't even have running water when I was born. My mother was still carrying water from the stream. We never had electricity while I was there. We never had a telephone maybe when I was 17 and was going off to college the next year. So that was a lot of inferiority, wonderful parts of that childhood. It was certainly not all difficult. But my parents were just coming from the hungry 30s. They grew up when survival was the thing. My parents actually knew families where children had starved to death. And this was really coming out of the famine, coming out, there was absolutely no government help whatsoever, very, very small farms, a really difficult situation. So my parents were so proud that they were able to provide for us. They weren't thinking about our psyches. They were very much of the mindset that you work hard, you keep your business private, you get by. They weren't telling us to soar. They weren't telling us we could go to school. They weren't telling us all these things that we're now telling our children in the order for them to be really, really successful. But I was not going to accept that, and I was able to get myself out of that. And I'll tell you something now, that if you are able, and the first thing is awareness. Sometimes this is a blind spot for people. They have no idea that they are completely crippled by these thoughts, by this blueprint, that somehow they're not good enough. and that all those wonderful things are for the talented or the worthy or the wealthy. And let's get back to that DNA, 99.9%. If there's anything that anyone else has done, you can do it too. They're just human. They're no different. They breathe the same air. They have the same 24 hours. So when you clutch that and you embrace that and you realize that you're just as capable as everyone else, and I think everybody does have something wonderful in them. And it's whatever, the key to that is whatever you love, whatever you're passionate about. Because I don't think you would be drawn to want to succeed in something if you didn't have the ability. So the desire is the key to what it is that you'll be really good at. You've got to look into whatever it is that might be holding you back. Become aware, because awareness is the first key. Then of course there are several ways that we can work in this. We're not going to change that roadmap overnight, but even becoming aware. I have seen people in their 60s and 70s recognize that blueprint that was holding them back, that was making them still very unhappy, and realize that they had never ever realized. My 80-year-old mother has a blueprint that nothing is going to change now. She's 83 actually. She has a blueprint of her life, her religion, her family, and nothing will ever change that, and nor maybe should it be now at 83. I'm not looking to change how she is, but recognize it, becoming aware is the first step. Really, really important. So you've got the genius, you've got the music, you've got it in you. Benjamin Disraeli, the British Prime Minister, said that far too many people take their music to the grave with them. And that's exactly what I think will happen if we don't find our greatness. You just live your life believing that the greatness is for other people, and you carry whatever you could have been magnificent at to your grave. So that is recognizing the genius that's in you.